New document that was recently located, buried within the millions of CIA files that were released recently and can be found on the CIA website, is not only shaking up the UFO community, but also the most hard-headed of skeptics who have looked at this and have been left, quite honestly, speechless. Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. Well, this new report that you're seeing here, entitled Mars Exploration, was only one of about 13 million pages of declassified documents from the CIA that have been recently released online. Many of these records include UFO sightings, psychic experiments, and really just a treasure trove of never-before-seen data and information relating to this phenomenon with which we study. And what we have here in this document is a recorded session between a so-called psychic or remote viewer, whatever you want to call them, and during this session, this unidentified psychic, as we will call him throughout this video, is able to visit the planet Mars and describe things on its surface with deadly accuracy. So as you can see, Mars exploration, and it's dated to have taken place on May 22nd, 1984. And just to give you a brief overview of what's gone on here, basically the CIA at one point in time would bring in these alleged psychics and remote viewers, and they would initiate these sessions where they would ask the psychics questions about planet Earth, other planets out in space, or basically try to test them in order to see if they could retrieve accurate results. Now, what is so compelling about this report is that before the session started, the CIA employee or handler would take a note card and he would write on it a time and a location, which he would then place inside of a sealed envelope and not give any of this information to the psychic himself. All that they would give the psychic was a set of coordinates. And this is how they would try to trip these psychics up, because they did not tell this psychic that these set of coordinates were on planet Mars, and for all he knew, they were on planet Earth. So you can see here it reads, sealed envelope coupled with geographic coordinates. The sealed envelope was given to the subject immediately prior to the interview. The envelope was not opened until after the interview. In the envelope was a 3x5 card with the following information: the planet Mars, time of interest approximately 1 million years BC. The selected geographic coordinates provided by the parties requesting the information were verbally given to the subject during the interview. So again, the subject of the interview, the alleged psychic, had no idea what was written inside the envelope. For all he knew, and again, was given no information that this had anything to do with the planet Mars. He was only given a set of coordinates. And we'll go ahead and read you some of the most startling parts from this transcript. And well, let's go ahead and start out with the very first set of coordinates just when this session began. He asks the psychic to exclusively focus his attention using the information in the envelope and the coordinates written here, which are 40.89 degrees north and 9.55 degrees west. The psychic is quoted as saying, "I want to say it looks like, I don't know. It sort of looks kind of an oblique view of a pyramid or a pyramid form. It's very high and it's kind of sitting in a large depressed area. It's yellowish or ochre colored." So let's go ahead and stop right there. And let's head over to Google Earth and let's pop in these first set of coordinates, to which you can see here the psychic immediately is drawn to something featuring pyramids. That is what he sees. And you guys are going to be amazed to see that this brings us almost directly on top of the Cydonia region of Mars, which is well known for not only this large statue of what many believe to be a face, but also a set of pyramids, also widely known throughout the ufology community and studied. You may know them as the Pyramids of Cydonia. And although weathered after millions of years, to this day, you can still make out some of these structures. So I would say that's a pretty damn good observation on the first set of coordinates. And remember, this man had no idea that it was planet Mars, and yet this is where he visited. This is the vision he saw of these pyramid structures, artificial pyramid structures. So through this transcript, he then asks him to describe what he sees. He says he's tracking severe clouds, more like a dust storm or a geologic problem. He's then asked to go back in time before the geologic problem, after which he describes seeing a very flat, smooth surface with angles and walls and very large megalithic structures. He also describes visualizing this very same area as he went back and forward in time as disappearing and becoming mountains of dirt, suggesting that some sort of geological problem or cataclysm changed this once smooth surface into these mountains of dusty dirt. So then again, once asked to go back in time again before this geological problem and to describe what he saw, he responds with, quote, "I'm seeing, it's like a perception of a shadow of people, very tall, thin. It's only a shadow. It's as if they were there and they're not there anymore." The handler asks him to continue reporting whatever raw data comes into his mind. And he responds with, quote, "I just keep seeing very large people. They appear very thin and tall, and they're very large, wearing some kind of strange clothes." The handler then asks him to move to a few more set of coordinates. In one instance, he describes being inside of a large cavern or canyon, wherein which he sees long walls that have been carved out, accompanied by other large structures and huge sections of smooth stone. Being directed to another set of coordinates, he describes what appears to be the end of a very large road, at the end of which a marker that is very large, and what he described as something looking like the Washington Monument. He later goes on to describe these tall ancient people and says that they are dying, that it was past their time or age, and that they're looking for a way to survive, but that they just couldn't. Once again, the topic of pyramids comes up later in the session, where he describes seeing pointed tops of something on the horizon. He was asked, "Do these pyramids have insides and outsides?" To which he responds, "We have both, and they're huge." He visualizes what appear to him to be some sort of shelters built into the sides of the pyramids that would conceal these ancient people from the massive dust storms raging around the planet. Different chambers, he says, but they're almost stripped of any kind of furnishings or anything. It's like a strictly functional place for sleeping, or that's not a good word, possibly hibernations of some form. When asked about these ancient people who seem to be struggling to live, he describes them as, quote, "looking for a way to survive, but that they couldn't seem to find their way out. So they're hanging on while they look or wait for something to return or something coming with the answer." The psychic is asked, what is it they're waiting for? To which he responds, there evidently was a group or a party of them that went to find a new place to live. There was a corruption of their environment, and it was failing very rapidly, and this group went out somewhere, like a long way to find another place to live. Finally, at the end of the session, he describes what appears to me as likely an alien ship of some sort, and that he was inside something that felt like a large boat with very rounded walls and shiny metal. When asked what planet they went to, he describes it as, quote, "impression of a really crazy place with volcanoes and gas pockets and strange plants, very volatile place. It's very much like going from the frying pan into the fire. Difference is there seems to be a lot of vegetation where the other place did not have it. A different kind of storm." And at this point, the session ends, the man is brought back, and the interview is terminated. Now, of course, I didn't read you the entire transcription, but you can head over. I'll put the link down in the video description. But this is mind-blowing stuff, guys, for a couple of reasons. Again, this man who was displaying these psychic powers had no foreknowledge of these coordinates, nor did he know the location that was written in the sealed envelope. He did not know that it was the planet Mars, and yet it was almost as if he exactly knew where to go, and that it had nothing to do with planet Earth. Furthermore, on one set of coordinates that we can verify, he locates the Cydonia region with the pyramids and the face with deadly accuracy. The other sets of coordinates I have looked up, however, most of these areas on the probe images that we have are much too blurry to make out any of the structures that he witnessed. And again, as related by the psychic in the interview, most of these structures that he witnessed were visualized before whatever type of geological cataclysm occurred on the planet, that, as he described, buried these structures under large mountains of dirt. But that's not to say that many of these structures aren't still visible on the Martian surface today. In fact, we've found many of them. Not just the pyramids and the face, but we've also found these obelisks. We've found these monuments, these monoliths, whatever you want to call them. These obviously artificial structures, UFOs flying above the surface. We recently did a video about these 3 towers that were found, all of which displayed the exact same height, shape, and distance apart from one another. You're seeing those 3 towers here. That was an amazing finding. So we could go on and on about Mars, and if you would like to know more, or if you're new to the channel, do be sure to search back in my previous videos. We have many on Mars and the anomalies that have been found there over the years. Groundbreaking stuff here. Let me know what you guys think. Check out the link on CIA.gov and stay tuned because I've got a lot more coming, and I'll see you back in just a bit.